Hi everyone, welcome to this session of OneTick Live. My name is Viktor Naroditsky. I am the head of Regulatory Solutions Development at OneMarket Data, and we'll talk today about OneTick Surveillance, our flagship regulatory product. This will be a rather quick session, so we'll jump right into it. I'll be sharing four different topics with you. So starting from the first one, out of the box, what it means for trade surveillance, what is good to have out of the box and what you should not have out of the box. So one thing that everyone is looking for and cares about is complete coverage of various regulations in terms of the alerts, also known as models or scenarios. And just to give you an example of what we mean by this, I'll show you a mapping to a European regulation, market abuse regulation. This MAR concordance page is showing you how each passage in the regulation, in this case it's Articles 7 and 8 and Annexes 1 and 2, maps to the alerts that we provide out of the box. And the entire alert list is available. It contains over 40 different scenarios. For a typical customer, only 10 or 12 of those alerts, the ones we highlight in bold, will do the job. But depending on the type of business you have, depending on the geography, you may have other requirements and they would be covered by one of the other alerts that we have. Or if they're not, then this is completely expandable, so an alert could be added. So out of the box scenarios or alerts are good, but what's not good to have out of the box is alert parameter settings. And I have a quote here from the UK's regulator, Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, and they are very specific about not recommending to rely on peer standards or out of the box alert settings. And many customers are tempted to ask the question, what are your other clients doing? But this is not the right way to go. Every business is unique, and it is the responsibility of the firm in the end to ensure that their flow is monitored appropriately. So to that end, it's important to set your own parameters, to tune them to your flow. And in order to be able to do that, you need to have convenient tools to check the different alert parameter values, and you need to be able to make sure those changes are promoted to production very fast. To show you what we are doing, I'll go into one of the dashboards. We call it the tune dashboard or parameter tuning dashboard. And just as an example, we'll take a look at marking the close. It has a number of parameters. They are all described on a separate page. But the only point I want to make is that you can change parameter values, click rerun, and you will see which alerts would generate with the new parameter values that you just selected. And so you can iterate to find the values that are right for you. And we would help you in this process. We will iteratively change parameters with you, but then you have the option of doing it on your own. Just to take a look at what parameters are available for marking the close and similarly for fixed manipulation, the top two parameters are the mean trades percentage and mean volume percentage, which let you control how much of the total trading volume does your flow need to be responsible for in order for an alert to be raised. So in this case, you would be responsible for at least 75% of the total number of trades executed during the monitored window, which is usually 5 minutes before the close for the equities exchanges, and for 75% of the volume during the same period. So you can tune the alerts, you can select the right values, and all of that would be done in the UAT environment. And once you are satisfied with the tuning based on the retro runs you'd be doing there, you can let us know and we'll promote the alerts to production within 24 hours. So that's another crucial point, that the alerts need to be in production fast enough for it to be meaningful. And also, all of the alerts in production are sacred in the sense that they never disappear. So whenever you would like a new parameter setting to be applied retroactively to some data, it will not overwrite any of the alerts. It will just add new alerts with the corresponding config settings easily identifiable for each alert run. All right, let's move on to the second topic, which is false positives. We believe that false positives is the true cost of surveillance, in the sense that if you have too many false positives, then the real positives get lost and don't get the attention that they need, and then it's just the pure cost, labor cost of sifting through thousands of false positives, which is prohibitive for meaningful surveillance. So we provide a number of ways to reduce the false positives issue. The one that we already discussed is making parameter tuning easily available, but that is usually not enough. And in addition to that, we let customers specify any custom logic that makes sense to them, and we can incorporate that logic in the alert logic that will be applied just to the client's flow. As an example, for wash trades, for example, you could specify which tags or which fields can be used to identify internally crossed trades, if that is applicable to your business, and we would add that filter before wash trade alerts would be generated. Another dimension in which we look at false positives reduction is alert ranking, or rather not reduction, but a way to prioritize various things. We provide a number of out-of-the-box ranking algorithms, but you can plug in your own as well, and then you'll be able to, each alert will be assigned a score that you'll be able to sort by to decide which alerts to direct your attention to first. Another tool that we provide is meta or pattern alerts, and I'll illustrate what I mean based on an example. Let's take a look at a graph that visualizes an alert, a spoofing alert that we identified. And I'll briefly go through this. We are showing the best ask and the best bid as two lines, and the markers correspond to the monitored order flow. An order to sell was placed at the best ask. Then 3 orders to buy were placed at 3 different prices away from the market. The order to sell executed, another order to sell was placed and also executed, and then the 3 orders to buy were cancelled. So this is something that looks like spoofing, and we let you decide what to actually do about it. And what we also let you do is to look around this alert at a longer time period, for example 5 minutes before and after, to see if this type of behavior has been occurring. And indeed you can see that this pattern where orders are layered on one side and then there is execution on the opposite side, and then there are orders layered on the other side with the execution again on the opposite side, is repeating a few times within this 10-minute window. And a meta alert would be raised if a given alert occurs more than a specified number of times within a specified time range. For example, you could say that I would like a meta alert for layering and spoofing if there are more than 3 occurrences of layering and spoofing within 10 minutes. Another tool that we provide lets you analyze a trader's behavior, and we call it the statistics dashboard. It lets you look at a number of metrics, and it highlights the deviations from the average for a given either trader, or you can group by whatever category makes sense to you: account, trader, desk, client. So the metrics are configurable. In this case we configured 7 metrics: volume traded per day, profit per day, position change per day, number of or order messages, numbers of symbol traded, and so on. And we highlight the deviations, and you can specify what you mean by deviation. For example, it could be 2.5 standard deviations and the number of data points you're collecting. So this can be used in addition to the main alert investigation dashboard to either notice unusual patterns in behavior and then to create an alert that would pick them up, or to just see if the trader was doing something unusual at the time that one of the alerts that you're investigating was generated. And there is one more dashboard that is also a free add-on to the trade surveillance dashboard that just lets you visualize the entire flow that we loaded into the system, and we show the best bid and best ask again as two lines, and then you can see the entire flow around it, and you can first check that everything was loaded correctly and also observe some patterns that you think warrant further attention. And the final point under false positives, and it goes beyond false positives, is custom alerts. The framework that we use is completely extendable, so you could specify any logic that you'd like, and it will become a custom alert that will show up next to any standard out-of-the-box alerts, and it will benefit from the same visualization and same workflow capabilities. All right, on to the third topic, asset classes. Many clients ask us about which asset classes are supported, and our platform is asset class agnostic, meaning that we apply the same scenarios to trading that may occur in any asset class. But of course, each asset class is different, and the way we support treating different asset classes differently is by allowing to configure different parameters for each asset class. So just to go back to the main dashboard that we looked at the beginning, you can see various asset classes as categories, and the same alerts could be applied to them, or different alerts could be applied, but you can parameterize whatever alerts you apply differently. So we have clients who trade pretty much every asset class. The most common ones are equities, futures, options, FI, and FX. And so you could choose which alerts would be applied to each asset class and which parameters would be configured, but you can go even deeper, and you could specify various parameters for various other categories. For example, you could have different parameters for more liquid stock than for less liquid stock, or you could have different parameters for major currency pairs and non-major currency pairs. Similarly, you can slice and dice your order flow any way you like. So you may be monitoring each trader's flow separately, or each account's flow separately, or each client's flow separately, or many customers configure it so that you look at each trader's flow and you also look at the entire account's flow, and then you only see the most granular alert that is raised. And a final comment on asset classes and parameters. Many of the parameters, like the ones I showed you for marking the close, depend on market conditions. So it's not just a fixed threshold, but it's rather a value that depends on the market conditions at the time, such as the market volume at the time of the alert or the price change that may have been caused by a trading behavior. The final topic I'd like to touch on is about choosing a trade surveillance solution and the things you can do before you buy. Something that we offer as a complementary service is a POC. So we can take a day of your data, and we'll run our alert detection algorithms against it, and you'll get access to a dashboard that I showed you, populated with your data and alerts based on your data. And it's very important to have the people who will be using it hopefully for years to make sure they're comfortable with it, that it's usable, and that the alerts actually make sense. Another point is about performance. The technology that's underlying our solution is OneTick, a highly performant tick management platform. So we have clients that process, for whom we process billions of messages, orders and executions messages per day, and we are one of the, well, we are highly performant, and we can scale pretty much to any degree horizontally. So in case your flow is extremely large, we are definitely a good fit for you. If your flow is relatively small, we're also a good fit because we have very small customers as well. It's just that we can scale very easily. Then time to installation is very important, and this is something that you can judge by the free POC. So, for example, it takes us about 2 weeks to set up a POC for you based on a day of your data for a single asset class, either in fixed format or in CSV format. And finally, we are transparent about pricing. We price you based on volume tiers. So if you have fewer than 10,000 messages here mean orders and executions per day, it's one price. If you go up to 100,000, it's the next tier, and so on up to 10 billion. And this is all I have for today. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat window. Otherwise, to request a demo or a complimentary POC, please email surveillance@onetick.com. Thanks everyone, and have a great night.